The latest thing that has been passed as being biblical and righteousness has been the denouncing of membership in Black Greek letter organizations, BGLO. The evidence and the scripture used miss this thing called exegesis. There is no empirical work to support the claim that BGLOs are anti-Christian. People who denounce their organizations often do so publicly with intentions to encourage others to follow. Most of these folks have marginalized themselves by leaving and then try and marginalize God's power. These folks have no awareness of the historical significance these BGLO have to the foundational ties to the Black church, benevolent societies, and Black civic groups that upheld the Black community in the 19th century. With so many Christian clergy members and leaders in BGLOs, it makes it hard to see where hermeneutic study on the scriptures used, let alone exegesis. What really got my attention was a leader of a faith-only church said it was the right thing to do at that point. I knew it wasn't a biblical thing, but a clickbait move. They definitely don't use exegesis ever there. Theologians and scholars are still debating TULI. We are still debating being Calvinist or Arminian or in between, but yet these babes in Christ have gotten it all solved from their reading of Scripture. The most commonly used scriptures were Ephesians 6:12 and Matthew 6:24. Some of the reasoning really concerned me. So I'm like, okay, I ain't never fasted a day in my life, never done any of this. I just know that I feel the urge to get it right and just to have a relationship with the Lord. I've been a Christian for, I rededicated my life for about, let's say, I gave my life back to God in 2017. So it will be 2 years this December, I believe, is when I gave my life back. And now, mind you, prior to going to college, I had just gotten baptized, I had made a personal decision to just really want to take my relationship with God to another level. So throughout being in the sorority, all that stuff, I knew God. Reasons ranged from dismissed denouncers, revelation interruption, picking up my cross, seeking fulfillment, disobedient, revelations, professing Jesus Christ, joined for the wrong reason, gave gifts to the organization, didn't want to do this public crossing, public denouncing, poor decision making, questioned scripture, responsibility to educate, lukewarm, questioned God, prayed for revelation, intentional pursuit. While speakers provided the scriptures and their interpretations, it did not include the justification or criteria for validity. Therefore, their application of scripture is yet to be examined. There should be more explanation of how speakers arrived at their interpretations and applications to BLOs, so their audiences can determine if their analyses are reliable or not. One thing that emerged surrounding this proof was believing in absolute truth. This thing refers to the idea that the speaker's interpretation and application of Scripture were absolute truths. Commentary on Scripture deals with hermeneutics, the study of the general principles of biblical interpretation, Britannica, 2021 bits. Throughout history, Christians' primary purpose of hermeneutics has been to uncover the values and truths expressed in the Bible using exegetical methods, Britannica, 2021 bits. Two notable processes referring to scriptural interpretation and hermeneutics are exegesis and eisegesis. J.G. Williams, 1973, described the difference between them. Exegesis is legitimate interpretation, which reads out of the text what the original author or authors meant to convey. Eisegesis, on the other hand, reads into the text what the interpreter wishes to find or thinks he finds there. It expresses the reader's own subjective ideas, not the meaning which is in the text. According to the exegesis definition, a given text may yield a number of very different interpretations according to the exegetical presuppositions and techniques applied to it. Britannica, 2021 bits. Pepinski, 1982, asserted that speakers risk reading their biases into the interpretation if they are not explicit about its rationale. I would argue that some of the speaker's analyses could include uninformed opinions that do not consider the historical context, the author, the audience, or the scriptural context in which the author wrote it. And a problem that I had as a baby Christian was I wanted to be in the world. This confession of being young in the faith corroborates that the makers of these videos could benefit from more experience in their faith, which could have impacted their denouncement journey differently. This concept is in 1 Corinthians 3-1-2 and Hebrews 5:12-14, King James Bible, 1989. The Bible uses an extended metaphor to liken people inexperienced in Christianity to babies who do not understand all God's principles and how to apply them. As over half of the speakers were new in their faith, based on these scriptures, they may have been babes in Christ, who are not yet ready to discern both good and evil. King James Bible, 1989, 1 Corinthians 3-1-2, Hebrews 5:12-14. The speaker's potential lack of understanding their newfound faith and its diverse aspects could have provided an imbalanced view that would lead them to denounce. The value that disappointed me the most was the one by Allan Parr and his reasoning for no longer being associated with his fraternity. There is a Christian colloquialism based on the scripture Genesis 50:20 that says, "What the enemy meant for evil, God turned it for good." King James Bible, 1989. To claim BGLOs are doomed from righteousness due to their origin would deny God's limitless power. So what these videos have actually done is to make the power of God appear very limited. I would like to just end with a scripture that has been what my life has been based on, 1 Corinthians 3:21-24. Full disclosure is that I am a member of a BGLO and a pastor. Over 40 years a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, life member, and over 30 years ordained.